it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
Oh, they messed up, Grayson. They let the Sooners get hot. And boy, are the Sooners hot right now. Both on the field and on the recruiting trail. As of yesterday afternoon, the University of Oklahoma is the number 5 team in America.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Jumping up from number 7 to number 5, despite being idle by virtue of a couple of losses from teams that were previously ahead of Oklahoma in the poll. And so, as you look at the pantheon of national contenders across the sport, Grayson, Ohio State and Oregon still seem to be the 2 schools that are a step ahead of the rest. But man.
Wait, hold on now. Where's Miami fit into that?
Miami, to me, second tier.
Really?
To me, tier 1 right now is Ohio State and Oregon. I don't trust Miami.
You and I differ on that.
I have never trusted Miami. I have lived too many years to trust Miami.
If you were going to tell me I don't trust Mario Cristobal, I think that's a whole different conversation. But I think for the same reasons that you start to get high on Oklahoma, I think you can get high on Miami.
Perhaps. It's a possibility. I trust John Mateer more than I trust Carson Beck. I'll say that much. Although Carson Beck has gotten developed at Miami. He looks better than he did at Georgia.
I also thought that the narrative of the Carson Beck demise was highly exaggerated.
I think we're a little bit high on Ole Miss right now. I think Ole Miss is a good team. I don't know if they're the number 4 team in the nation.
Ole Miss is one of those teams where you just don't really know what to do with them.
You don't really know what to do with them. And I get it. You know, they're SEC. They're undefeated. They had a marquee win over the weekend over LSU. They kind of have to be somewhere in that neighborhood right now. But I don't quite feel like Ole Miss is quite that good. But credit to Trinidad Chambliss, man. He's been able to keep the train on the tracks and then some.
You think this week's AP rankings was a complete overreaction to some things? Because think about it, and it's not anybody's fault, because you've got teams like Oklahoma who are 4-0 or 5-0, 4-0, 4-0, 4-0, but 2 of their wins aren't against anybody. And then you have other teams that were off that week, and then you had Florida State losing to Virginia, and then you had LSU lose. Like, it seemed like everything was I guess we'll put you here, and we don't really know, and there's an overreaction here. LSU falls as far as they did, but they lost to a good team on the road in conference. I feel like we still don't really know much yet, which makes this whole thing fun.
You know what else is fun? The momentum that Oklahoma has in the recruiting world. Another 2027 commit as of this morning, Grayson Singleton. The 5th of the young cycle for the Sooners, who have the number 2 class in America in the 2027 cycle. The newest member of the fold is Mikhail McCreary, 4-star cornerback out of San Antonio, Texas. He is the first defensive commit of the 2027 class for Oklahoma. He joins wide receiver commit Damari DeJean and offensive line commits Luke Wilson, Cooper Hackett, and Caden Penny in what already looks to be a spectacular nucleus for Oklahoma's recruiting efforts in the 27 cycle. Again, we come back to it. We talked about it last week. Oklahoma's gotten hot fast in 27 without the benefit of having a quarterback on board. So, again, it makes you wonder what happens if and when Oklahoma does lock in that quarterback. How much faster will the snowball start to roll down the hill at that point? But if we just want to isolate it to today's events, first off, it's a head-to-head recruiting victory over the Sand Aggies. Another one. Mikhail McCreary came down to Oklahoma and Texas Tech and decided to lock in his early commitment to OU because, as he told Sam Spiegelman of Rivals, the time just felt Right. Now, when you look at Mikhail McCreary, the player, in your mind, Grayson, what is there to like about this young man, the OG defensive commit of 2027 for OU?
The OG, very physical. If you like physical corners, you like Mikhail McCreary. He loves to come up and play in the run. He's excellent against the run. It seems like a very technically sound player too. In terms of his run fits, he doesn't let people bounce outside of him, which as a corner is a big no-no. He's very technically sound in terms of how he plays press coverage. He's a smothering corner. Doesn't give up a whole lot of separation. So there is that. Now, what comes with the last thing I just said, and this stood out to me on his tape, when it comes to translation from high school to college and officials being able to call pass interference a little bit more in college, he tends to get a little bit handsy. He is really handsy by virtue of him being as physical as he is. Now, good coaching can coach him out of that. Good coaching can tell you, hey, here's where you got to put your hands on. Here's when you got to get him off. So I've got no doubt that he's going to be fine in that regard. But if there is one thing that stands out, it's that he's really physical to a point where it also could become problematic. But I love the kid. I love the tenacity with which he plays with. He's very versatile. And shoot, maybe not going to have the ascent as quickly as Cortland Guillory had, but he's going to be a player that you can stick on the field as a young dude.
Who on this Oklahoma roster does he most remind you of? If you had to compare him to a current Oklahoma cornerback.
His length reminds me of Gentry Williams.
I think that's the correct comparison.
Neither of them give up a whole lot of separation either.
Gentry Williams, to me, and I don't know if Mikhail McCreary is quite the overall athlete that Gentry Williams is. He's one of the finest overall athletic specimens on the roster for Oklahoma. But there's a lot of Gentry Williams in Mikhail McCreary's game. And I think you see that especially in what you mentioned, his ability and willingness to come downhill and help in the run game or to shut down those swing passes or screen passes. Man, he comes downhill with that bonsai-type mentality. He's not afraid to put the hurt on somebody. And Jay Valai knows what he likes, right? Like, Jay Valai, when you look at the cornerbacks that he has landed over the last few years at Oklahoma, Eli Bowen is Eli Bowen. You know, he's unique. He and Jeremiah Newcomb, I would say, are cut from the same cloth, but Jay Valai went and got those two for much the same reason he went and got Josiah Wagner. Remember him a few years ago? Is because, man, yeah, maybe they're physically limited in terms of their height, but they're fearless. They play like dogs on the outside. And despite the fact that they may be at a slight physical disadvantage because of the lack of height relative to their peers at the position, they're incredibly technically savvy and they're competitive. And you like guys like that. But Jay Valai's ideal corner, I think, in many ways, when you look at how he's put this group together, Jay Valai's ideal corner is that 6', 6'1" dude, maybe a little bit underdeveloped in terms of muscle mass, so you can bring him to campus and you can pack more weight on them. But he likes that corner that's comfortable in press man, that is willing to play that aggressive style. They're willing to get up in your face. They're willing to play physical and initiate contact and trust their technique and trust that even if they're up on you, they're not going to get beat deep because they can flip their hips with aplomb. And so a lot of these cornerbacks on Oklahoma's roster right now are cut from similar cloth in that regard. And Mikhail McCreary, it's kind of that same. I mean, look at Derek Johnson, Oklahoma's lone cornerback commit in the 2026 class. A lot of those same traits.
Yeah.
Right? And so
and Mikhail McCreary looks skinny, too.
He does. They're going to have to pack some weight on him, no question. But it was much the same way with Davon Jordan. It was much the same way with Cortland Guillory. Like, you don't want guys to be a finished product physically when they get to college, because then you're looking at a guy with a capped ceiling, right? There's nothing further you can do for him other than just polish the technique. Like, they are what they are as a player. But you get him bigger, you get him stronger. Man, Mikhail McCreary is a guy that has a very high ceiling long-term at the University of Oklahoma under the tutelage of a guy like Jay Valai, and it's clear Oklahoma's recruiting to an archetype at that cornerback position, and he fits the archetype. On the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, if you want to interact throughout the show, please do so. 405-651-3439. A 405 listener says, Parker, stop shaking your legs, man. It's just one leg. I don't know if it's a tick or what. Sometimes my right leg is the leg that shakes. I just do it involuntarily.
I was say, is that the ADHD or something?
It must be. It must be. It's only when I'm sitting down. When I'm sitting down and my feet are flat on the floor, I have a tendency to shake my right leg.
Yeah, my hands.
It just ticks.
My hands are the same way.
Just is what it is. TJ Stan says, correct, Parker. He isn't the athlete as Williams. This kid will be a safety when it's all said and done. He may be. He may be. He certainly offers that versatility. You know, that right there, I think, is a skill that Jay Valai has also tried to cultivate in his cornerback room, is guys that you can move around. I mean, Malik Hawkins, he signed as a cornerback. He's played some outside cornerback on the practice field, but he's also played safety. He's played Cheetah. Cortland Guillory, when he showed up to Oklahoma, there was conversation about working him in at safety. Heck, you look back at his recruiting profile, 24/7 Sports had pegged and evaluated him as a safety. They did not believe he was going to be a cornerback at the next level. They thought he was going to be a safety. So, yeah, I agree. McCreary has that versatility. He's got that potential to slide up and play safety. But Oklahoma's taken him as a cornerback. They like him at cornerback. If he shows up and they see much of a reason to work him in at another position, or they want to develop his skill set and start to cultivate the ability within McCreary to play multiple spots in Oklahoma's defense, then yeah, that's a route they could go. Remember when Jeremiah Newcomb back in August before his shoulder injury was taking some reps at Cheetah? It's one of the things Brent Venables loves to have on the defensive side of the ball is guys that can play multiple positions. A 405 listener says, restless leg syndrome, going to have to be amputated. They'll shoot. That sucks. It's going to really limit my mobility. CD from Hockley. I knew we were going to get this question. It's worth addressing, and hopefully everyone that has this question is listening right now, so I only have to bring it up once. CD from Hockley says Deacon Schmidt visited Colorado this week. What's up with that? I mean, he lives in Colorado.
I was about to say, proximity.
He wanted to see it. Trust me, that kid's commitment to Oklahoma is in no jeopardy whatsoever. And if he were going to flip somewhere, why would it be Colorado at this point? They're 2-3, and they don't look great, and they're juggling quarterbacks. And they were also not a school that prioritized Deacon Schmidt early like Oklahoma did. So absolutely nothing to worry about there. A 405 listener said, I mean, T-Ron Richardson visited Ole Miss. That is true. Haven't gotten the sense there's much to worry about there. Here's what I do know, though. If T-Ron Richardson wants to mess around with Ole Miss, and let's just say for the sake of the hypothetical, and it's nothing more than a hypothetical at this point, I don't think it happens. But let's just say T-Ron Richardson decided to flip to Ole Miss. Oklahoma will be able to go find another defensive tackle.
You would imagine.
Think about the guys that are currently committed to Oklahoma State, for instance. If Oklahoma needs to go re-engage with Danny Beal, for instance, or with Taj Overton, they can go and do that. If T-Ron Richardson wants to flip, Oklahoma will just go grab somebody else. I mean, it's one of those positions where it's just that easy. If he wants to bounce, there will be other dudes that want to jump on board with Oklahoma, and that the Sooners can go and land. You like Danny Beal?
I do like Danny Beal.
A lot of people like Danny Beal on the text line. We've gotten a lot of questions about him over the last week or so.
I like Danny Beal. I liked Caden Jones. I like Trey McLaughlin. And Oklahoma State football's in kind of a blank hole right now.
Yeah. I like Doug Meacham, though.
I do like Doug Meacham. He shouted out the Ocali, and I used to work there when I was in college.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, I did TV for them.
The Ocali has TV?
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that.
Just like OU Daily.
That tracks. I mean, the OU Daily really doesn't have TV, though.
Well, they did a newscast, didn't they?
No, it's OU Nightly.
OU Nightly.
Two very
yes.
separate
yes.
entities.
No, and you're right. Yes.
Very separate.
Yes. We did the same thing when I was there.
A 580 listener asks, any chance Dr. Shin can fix your leg? Well, seeing as how his name is Dr. Shin, he may be even more qualified to operate on legs than he is on hands. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. The show is brought to you today and every day by Dorsey Jones GMC out in El Reno. Are you in the market for a brand new vehicle? If so, you're going to want to get out to Dorsey Jones. GMC offers some of the most reliable trucks and SUVs on the road today, and Dorsey Jones can offer you fantastic service before and after the sale, including half-price oil changes on Saturday. So make the short trek out to El Reno. Give Dorsey Jones a try. We appreciate their partnership here on Locked In. Coming up on the other side, more of your questions, of which there are quite a few today on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Keep hitting us up, and we will keep sharing feedback. 405-651-3439. Keep it right here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Sound off any time of day on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439. Knippelmeyer Chevrolet in Blanchard, USA.
For the professional, it's not enough to just possess knowledge. That's why at GMC, we seek to refine it, to wield its power, to redefine its boundaries, while pushing the limits. And we put this knowledge to the test in every GMC Sierra by engineering each one to outperform your expectations. So you know you're getting precision and durability when you need it most. And that's what makes the GMC Sierra the truck worth knowing. We are professional grade. See your Oklahoma GMC dealers.
Oklahoma is rife with high school talent, and KREFSports.tv is the way to see them all before they head to the next level. From OU softball commit Keegan Baker to Washington football commit Mason James, KREFSports.tv brings you the best of Oklahoma 6A sports with the best broadcasters in the state. With softball, volleyball, and now football season ongoing, tap into KREFSports.tv, the best high school sports coverage in Oklahoma.
OKC. So come live in the wow at the world of WinStar.
This is Jake Aldridge, partner at Aldridge Teasdale. We know accidents happen when you least expect them, but if you're injured, your path to recovery and justice starts with the right attorney by your side. At Aldridge Teasdale, we understand that every injury is personal and that every story matters. You deserve an advocate who will fight for you. But don't wait. If you need medical assistance, you need to get it now, and we can help you with access to the best doctors in Oklahoma. Call Aldridge Teasdale today, 405-447-HURT. That's 405-447-4878.
Are you craving authentic Italian food? Gabarino's in Norman is the stop. Gabarino's is coming up on 15 years of business, and everything is made from scratch daily. They have $12 lunch specials Monday through Friday from 11 to 2. Whether you're coming in to sit and eat or need to grab a take and bake option, Gabarino's can accommodate everyone. Call 405-310-2229 or swing by their location on Ed Noble Parkway and celebrate their 15 years of amazing authentic Italian food. Gabarino's in Norman.
Around the world, Children International and friends like you are giving children in poverty a chance to thrive by helping ensure access to healthcare, nutrition, and educational opportunities and support on their path to employment. Because every child deserves a chance to realize their full potential. Learn more about Children International by going to children.org today.
With OG&E's Energy Efficiency Program, we'll provide the blueprint for lowering your bill and increasing your comfort. Whether it's tuning heat and air units, caulking and weather stripping drafty doors and windows, insulating your attic, or connecting you with valuable rebates, you'll improve efficiency and save money with no out-of-pocket costs. Learn more at oge.com/efficiency. At OG&E, we energize life.
Hey, it's Mike Steele here for my friend Gary and the great staff at Cabins Group. After all the rain in the spring and now with temperatures on the rise, you might have a problem with mold growing in your home or business. Let the staff at Cavens help you before it becomes a major issue. Don't forget, Cavens can help you with water emergencies and biohazard cleanup 24 hours a day. Call Cavens today at 405-573-3048 or visit them online at cavensgroup.com.
Who is Bad Bunny?
Bad Bunny
Please
is...
educate me.
Wait, you don't know who Bad Bunny is?
I have no idea who Bad Bunny is.
I mean, he's a Latino performer. I think I would say he's the most popular Latino performer in terms of music in the world.
What's his most iconic song?
Like
what is his signature song?
That I would have to look up for you. Because, see, I don't speak a whole lot of Spanish, so kind of wouldn't be able to tell you.
So wait, hang on. He raps in Spanish?
Yes.
So
yes, whatever's about to come out of your mouth, yes, you are correct.
Okay. I wasn't expecting that. We're having a guy that's rapping in Spanish do the Super Bowl halftime show.
Now, I will say this. He is extremely popular in the Americas. Or in the United States, shall I say. Extremely popular.
I'll take your word for it. I couldn't name a single song of his.
I mean, I can't either. I could just tell you if I heard him, because I know what he sounds like.
A 405 listener says, "You are not alone, Parker." Thank you. Apparently, he was in Happy Gilmore too.
Yes, he was.
Interesting.
I was kind of surprised that it was Bad Bunny. I was a little bit, because I didn't think you would have a Latino that performs in Spanish. Let me get that last part out there. That performs primarily in Spanish, headlining the Super Bowl. Like that to me came as a shock. I'm interested to see what it's going to look like, though. I'm curious.
It'll be interesting. I don't know that we will ever top the two greatest Super Bowl halftime performances of all time, which came in back-to-back years, by the way.
I'm very curious where you're going with this.
Number one, and it will always be number one. It will never be surpassed because of the circumstances in which it occurred. Prince in 2007.
Okay.
Electric halftime show.
Yeah.
He's doing the Purple Rain solo.
In the rain.
On a glass stage.
Uh-huh.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And then the following year, we got Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, which was just a good old classic, flawlessly performed rock and roll show. And that was a fantastic Super Bowl as well between the Giants and the Patriots.
Yes, it was.
Now, 4 or 5 listeners says, I was today years old when I first heard about Bad Bunny. Okay. Well.
Man, y'all really don't know who Bad Bunny is, huh?
A lot of us appear to be on the same page here.
Okay. I guess I'm in the minority here.
Hey, we need to acknowledge greatness when it is right here in front of us. And as such, I would like to recognize Bigsby High School out in Green Country for being named, according to Rivals, the #1 high school football team in America this week. Every week, Rivals does a national top 25. Top 25 high school football teams in the nation. At #1 this week, Grayson, is none other than the Bigsby Spartans.
Yeah.
Coming off a 66-35 thrashing of Jenks on Friday night. That game was close for a quarter and a half. And then Bigsby turned on the Jets.
Yeah,
and ran away from them.
Wasn't it like 35-24 at some point in time? I was calling a game, so I didn't get to watch it.
Jenks hung with them valiantly for most of the first half. And then especially after they came out of the intermission, it was all Bigsby. And I mean, Grayson, we are talking about a national high school football landscape that includes powerhouse teams from the West Coast where the private schools stack talent.
Yep.
Open enrollment teams down in Texas where, for instance, Duncanville, they can just bring anybody in, doesn't matter where they live.
Yep.
Open enrollment is open enrollment. They want to get a kid to Duncanville, they just let it be known, hey, we'd like to have this kid enroll at Duncanville, and he can enroll at Duncanville, and you can keep building a powerhouse. I mean, we're just talking about little old Bigsby and they're anything but little at this point. They've been the giant of Oklahoma high school football for the better part of a decade now.
Yep.
But little old Bigsby in the little old state of Oklahoma, the number one high school football team in America, according to Rivals today. When you consider the talent-rich hotbeds that states such as California and Texas and Florida and Georgia are, not to mention many of the strong programs, particularly St. Francis Academy out in the DMV region, Maryland, Baltimore area. The fact that Bigsby High School is atop the list is just unbelievable. Massive props are due to Lauren Montgomery and everybody involved with the operation out at Bigsby.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really much else to add to that. And when you look at how they used that 918 transfer portal, and I say that tongue-in-cheek, even though there was a lot of movement around those Tulsa schools. I mean, bringing in a guy like Jason Mole over from Owasso, who was excellent against Jinx, and then you just run receiver talent after receiver talent after receiver talent, and then the way that they use guys on both sides of the ball, too, and develop them very well. Braden Presley is about to go to college as a defensive back. He is an excellent wide receiver.
Yes, he is.
I mean, more than an excellent wide receiver. Emery Snyder can go both ways as well, who's going to be headed to West Virginia. No, I mean, what they do is phenomenal. And to be quite honest with you, I have no idea how they do it year in and year out, because you think they lose their elite talent. You see where these guys are going to go, and then all of a sudden, we're just going to reload again and again and again. And it doesn't matter what classification they are. They could have been in 5A, they could have been in 6A2, and now in 6A1. They seem to always be a step ahead. I'm interested to see, and I'm glad you brought up all the powerhouses nationwide. I'm interested to see if they expand their scheduling at some point in time and get us some ESPN games where they're playing a big-time school in Texas, or a Bishop Gorman. Maybe not Bishop Gorman exactly, but something like that, because I think we all would love to see that. That would be appointment TV for us here in Oklahoma.
Oh, no, David from Norman's crashing out. He said, Parker, I cringe at you every time I hear you say the word Bigsby.
I cringe, too.
Nobody but you and a couple of hillbillies call it that. I have relatives that have lived there for 30 years, and they laugh at people who say that. Go listen to Coach Montgomery's interview with Chris Plank last Friday. He called his school Bixby many times. Go watch the Bixby versus Jenks game on KREF TV. Both the play-by-play guy and the color guy, who, by the way, was a former coach at Bixby, call it Bixby. Several local advertisers call it Bixby. You know why? Because that's the name of the town. Sheesh, David. It's just a bit, my friend. It's just a bit.
I will say, I cringe every time you say that, too.
I pity your listening experience from 3 to 6 p.m., if indeed you listen during those hours, because the amount of such bits that Teddy Lehman employs would no doubt have you crashing out to the nth degree. But yes, I understand it's Bixby. I'm from Nebraska. My instinct is to call it Bixby. But on this show, it's Bigsby. Okay. Big Daddy in Dallas. This was a question we got several times over. Big Daddy in Dallas asked, Parker, do you really think Bigsby can compete with Duncanville? Jay in Tulsa says the number one ranking for Bigsby this week and really cool and all, but you guys actually think they could compete with any of the other schools in the top 10 of the high school ranking? Listen, I'm not going to pretend to know how a neutral site matchup would play out between Bigsby and a Duncanville, for instance. Here's what I do know. Was it 22 or 23 where the Spartans faced off with Mansfield Timberview, which is a respectable DFW area program.
Team. Yeah.
And they spanked them. I think the final score was like 41-10. And so could that team compete in such an area as the DFW area? Absolutely they could.
Yeah.
Would they win every single game, year in and year out, much the way they do here in the state of Oklahoma? Okay, probably not. But yeah, there's no doubt in my mind they could compete with anybody. And guess what? Oklahoma is now in at Bigsby via the commitment of Caden Penny. And Bill Bleedenbow and Brent Venables both were out to visit this past Friday with Caden Penny. It was a busy night for Brent Venables because he showed face in Wagner for Cooper Hackett. Then he made his way to Bigsby, or I guess to the Jinx Bigsby game. And then he headed to Broken Arrow for 4-star safety Samaj Stanford. So, the OU staff, they were out there recruiting. Ben Arbuckle was down at Salina to see Bo Bentley, Oklahoma's prized 2026 quarterback commit. He and the defending state champion Salina Bobcats knocked off previously undefeated Panther Creek 35-28. Another fantastic performance from Bentley in that victory. And several OU staffers were out in Cali as well, including Emmett Jones and Director of Player Personnel Stacy Ford, who has been given the opportunity to go out on the road and recruit on Oklahoma's behalf. By the way, I got to see Cooper Hackett in person on Friday. Man. Cooper Hackett's going to be good, man. And he's just scratching the surface. And I think that's what's so exciting. Now, I'm just preparing folks for this reality. I think there's a good chance Cooper Hackett slides in the rankings a little bit. His ranking's not going to tank, to be clear. There's a lot more potential for downward movement with Cooper Hackett's future ranking than there is for upward movement. Because as of right now, he's the number 11 player in the country, right? And what so many evaluators are banking on with Cooper Hackett is they're banking on the traits. And it often is the case that super traitsy raw dudes get elevated rankings initially only to see things kind of normalize later on in the process.
Mm-hmm.
A great example is Jaden Nickens. You remember Jaden Nickens?
I do remember. Where is he now?
He's at Kansas.
Okay, so he is still at Kansas.
Yes. At one point, I think when the very first class of 2025 rankings dropped from 24/7 Sports, Jaden Nickens was the number 4 player in the nation.
Yes.
Not in the state, not in the region, in the nation.
Mm-hmm. When he was at Millwood.
Yeah. And that's just because, you're looking at a high-level basketball player.
Yeah.
A hooper that was picking up offers in the 7th and 8th grade. That transitions to football, has a really strong debut season. And, man, what you saw in the 2 years thereafter was Jaden Nickens kind of petered out in the rankings. He settled in low 4-star territory, and that was the territory which he occupied. Now, I don't think Cooper Hackett's going to have that type of slide. Not by a long shot. But I do think there are guys in the 2027 class that probably will leapfrog him just because they're going to start, and it's going to become apparent on their junior tape that they're more college ready than Cooper Hackett, which there's nothing wrong with that. Cooper Hackett doesn't need to be college ready right now. He's a junior in high school. But man, watching that dude go to work on Friday night was very encouraging, and should be very encouraging to watch that tape if you're an Oklahoma football fan, because man, he is starting to get real powerful. Like, to me, watching him during camp season in June at Oklahoma, he was very much a guy that was still kind of figuring out his body. You know, he was still a guy that, I guess, trying to figure out how to operate at 6'7". A guy that had kind of grown physically at a faster pace than he had grown mentally as a football player. But man, it's all starting to catch up for him. And there was this defensive end from Wagner Friday night. Kid was maybe 5'9". Like, not a very physically imposing kid at all. But to his credit, 5'9", you at least got a low center of gravity, right?
Yeah.
And he was pretty strong. And so he was also a very competitive kid. He started talking noise to Cooper Hackett in the second quarter and just kept letting him have it and letting him have it and letting him have it. And then right after the halftime intermission, they came out for the third quarter. It was like a switch flipped in Cooper Hackett's mind. And he was just like, okay, I'm going to bury this kid. And he did every single snap for the rest of the game. Had the kid on his back. And so when he plays angry, and I think there was a distinction there in watching him in the first half versus watching him in the second half. Watching that dude play angry made me really excited with regard to the potential that he has at the next level if you can just kind of channel that anger on every single snap.
Yeah, and if his body continues to fill out, he's going to be an impressive figure. No, this is a dude that could be a first-round pick in the NFL draft if that body continues to fill out like we think it will, because he's insanely athletic. I mean, have you seen him play basketball? I mean, a dude that big should not be able to do some of the things in the air that he's able to do. Like, I mean, the athleticism is off the charts. By the way, I was watching tape. I was watching the first couple of games of Jaden Petit's senior year tape.
Ooh.
That dude looks as dominant as CeeDee Lamb looked when he was at Oklahoma.
Okay, so let's hit that briefly, because the text line right now is arguing about whether it's Bigsby or Bigsby.
Yeah, Joe,
I have started a fight
Yeah,
amongst the text line denizens.
Yeah, Joe in Tulsa says, "Love you, Parker. Been living in Bixby, and it's called Bixby. Only the old-ass folks call it Bigsby." The old-ass folks and Connor Pasby.
And then and Spartan Sooner's like, keep calling us Bigsby, Parker. It's perfect. And a 903 listener says, sorry, it's Bigsby. Show Me Boomer in Missouri said, Parker's tongue-in-cheek pronunciation is how I heard a lot of locals referring to their lovely city. So we got folks on both sides of the aisle. They can hash that out amongst themselves. You bring up Jaden Petit. We haven't mentioned Jaden Petit's name on this show in probably 3 months. I think, has it been 3 months to the day since he committed to Wisconsin? If it's not, it's right in that neighborhood. Jaden Petit, if you're not familiar, 4-star wide receiver from Naples, Florida. Committed to Wisconsin over Oklahoma and others after official visits in the summer. Here's the important detail with regard to Jaden Petit right now. Wisconsin sucks.
Oh, they're bad.
Wisconsin is awful. Anybody who has watched a quarter of Wisconsin football this fall knows that and knows it well. Also, even if you haven't watched Wisconsin football, you know Wisconsin's reputation. What is Wisconsin as a football program? They're a smash-mouth, ground-and-pound, old-school Big Ten team. Generally speaking, their wide receivers do not produce because they're not throwing the ball enough.
Nope.
And so when Jaden Petit committed to Wisconsin, immediately, the conversation we were having was, okay, that's weird, whatever. But let's see what happens later on down the line. Now here we are. September's about to give way to October. Luke Fickell is getting booed at Camp Randall Stadium by Wisconsin fans that want his head on a platter. It doesn't look like things are getting better in the immediate future for the Badgers. Jaden Petit may be back on the open market. And let me tell you, Grayson, Oklahoma's going to be ready. I right now am going to offer a bold prediction on this show. You ready for this?
Go for it.
I think by signing day, Oklahoma will have flipped either Jaden Petit or Davian Gross. I think one of the two signs with Oklahoma. And of course, if you're not familiar with Gross, you're not a regular listener. Gross is a 4-star wideout out of Frisco Lone Star High School down in Texas. State champion in the 200 meters. A top 100 player nationally. And Petit, mind you, he's not a top 100 player nationally, but he's making a case. 29 catches, 716 yards, and 12 touchdowns through 4 games as a senior.
Yeah, he looks outstanding.
Jaden Petit or Davian Gross. I will bet money that one of those two wind up in Oklahoma's class. We shall see. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. More of your texts, more OU football and Cruton talk on the other side as we wrap up the show here on a Monday. Keep it here on The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
This is Sooner linebacker Kobe McKenzie, and you're listening to The Ref, home of the Sooner fans.
Get behind the wheel for less at Eskridge Honda. Take $2,500 off MSRP on a new 2025 Ridgeline Black Edition. Plus, take advantage of 0.99% APR for up to 60 months. Low rates and great savings only at our new location on 89th and I-35 or online at eskridgehonda.com. Available to customers with approved credit through Honda Financial Services. See dealer for details.
Ready to jumpstart your future? Start training for a high-demand, high-wage career in healthcare, construction, IT, manufacturing, or STEM while you're still in high school. Moore and Norman sophomores, juniors, and seniors apply online today to attend Moore Norman Technology Center next fall. Talk to your MNTC rep at school or visit mntc.edu to learn more. Change your life, build your tomorrow, start your future now at Moore Norman Technology Center.
The Oklahoma women's basketball team takes the court on November 3rd, and season tickets are on sale now. Led by 4 former McDonald's All-Americans, the Sooners are poised for yet another huge season as they look to build upon last year's NCAA Tournament Sweet 16 appearance. Plus, with matchups against South Carolina, LSU, Tennessee, and more, the home schedule is packed with big-time showdowns you won't want to miss. Season tickets are selling fast. Reserve your seats today at Soonersports.com/tickets.
Medicaid and CHIP offer free or low-cost health coverage for children and teens. Hospital and doctor visits, prescriptions, shots, and more are covered. That's peace of mind for parents if a child is sick or gets injured. And parents may now be eligible for Medicaid too, even if they've applied in the past. Enrollment is always open. Visit InsureKidsNow.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad. Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Hey, remind me about that party again?
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations, and they want honest answers in everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path, because when you talk, they hear you. Learn more at underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Coach Stoops here for Van Hoos Fence. If you want to work with the best local fence company and get championship service, contact my friend Mark and the Van Hoos Fence team. Van Hoos Fence gives each customer the most professional craftsmanship and competitive pricing in Oklahoma. From wood to chain link to vinyl to metal fences, the Van Hoos Fence team does it all. Contact the Fencing All-Americans at Van Hoos Fence, 405-735-1167 or vhfence.com.
This is Peggy Doviak of DM Wealth Management. And just like in a football game, your special teams will make or break the success of your financial plan. First, you need to have a good CPA to help you with your taxes. Then you need an estate attorney to help you put together your estate documents. And finally, you need a certified financial planner practitioner to help you make a plan. We'd love to help you plan your prosperity. Check us out at dmwealth.com.
Being blind doesn't always look how others may think.
Retinitis pigmentosa aimed to overwhelm my family.
It tried to cut me down. I know where to find support and where I can be seen.
Innovative research, educational resources, supportive community. The Foundation Fighting Blindness is leading the charge on treatments and cures for blinding diseases. Donate today at fightingblindness.org. A public service message from the Foundation Fighting Blindness.
It is The Ref, the home of Sooner fans, and this is Locked In. Parker Thune alongside Grayson Singleton for one final segment. Man, we have fielded this question a lot over the last week or so. And I understand it. You know, not everybody gets to listen every single day for every single minute that we're on air. So I will continue to answer it when it comes up. But this 918 listener asked, speaking of Bigsby players, is there a chance OU will attempt to flip Braden Presley from Oklahoma State? They were interested in him before. That is correct. They were interested in him before. To my understanding and to the best of my knowledge, as we sit here today on September 29th, they are no longer interested in Braden Presley. So, I do not know where Braden Presley winds up signing. Obviously, he has picked up a number of new offers in recent days. Arizona, Arizona State, Iowa State, I believe a few others, Grayson.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not going to be the University of Oklahoma, at least not unless there is a collective change of heart amongst the Oklahoma front office as to how they view Braden Presley. I'll be honest, I've said this before. It's a little surprising to me, just because they did host him for an OV, and he has had a really, really strong senior season to date, and he does feel like that type of guy where if we go back to our first segment conversation and talking about the new commit, Mikhail McCreary, Braden Presley similarly seems to be the dude with the right archetype for this Oklahoma cornerback room, the type of guy that they've put an emphasis on going and getting. A sizable cornerback with position versatility who's comfortable playing press man on an island. And so it is a little surprising to me that they don't seem willing to re-engage with Braden Presley, but it is what it is. At this point, the flip targets that they're eyeing are, for one, Tulane commit Braden Allen. I think that one's over soon, and I think it's over in OU's favor very soon. Iowa State commit Milan Paris, 4-star wideout, 6'5", 210 pounds.
What's going on there?
Okay, man, here's the thing.
We haven't had an update on Milan Paris in a minute.
Yeah, it's very, very quiet. Very quiet. I know an official visit is in the works. I cannot confirm definitively whether that official visit has been scheduled and whether there is an actual date on that visit yet. I know he plans to OV with Oklahoma. OU would love to have him. But there are some tough decisions that may have to be made at a certain point, because if you're going to take Braden Allen, and Oklahoma's going to take Braden Allen, you already have 2 wide receiver commits in Daniel Odom and Xavier Okafuleze.
Mm-hmm.
If Braden Allen makes 3 here soon, and you're still pursuing Milan Paris, Jaden Petit, and Davian Gross, and those are still realistic possibilities, options on the table in the 26 class at wide receiver for Oklahoma, you probably can't have more than one. And so it's a matter of which one you like the best. Now, with the acknowledgement and the understanding, Grayson, that those 3 are all different players, very different. If you could only pick one of the 3, who are you going with?
Which 3 are we going with again?
Gross, Paris, Jaden Petit.
Oh, goodness gracious. This is hard. I'll take Petite, and I love the versatility and the electricity that Gross brings. I'm taking those 2.
You can only pick one.
Oh, you said one? I thought you said 2. My bad.
Nope, only one.
Oh, Jesus. Petite.
Really?
Petite, Gross, Paris.
This is really
would be my hierarchy.
Man, this is hard. This is difficult because I love all 3 of those guys.
As you should.
Love them. To me, it's hard not to go with Gross.
It is.
Just because he's so freaking electric, man. He's such a playmaker. And obviously has played at a high level in the state of Texas. He's faced better competition than Paris or Petit. You can say that pretty definitively.
No, I mean, Petit's from Florida, so he's faced some dudes.
He's faced some dudes, but not the type of dudes that Davian Gross has faced. Man, David from Norman says, I would pass on the Braden Allen kid and take my chances on getting 2 of the other 3.
And honestly, I'm not going to lie, I'm with that.
Now, folks, this is all the evidence you need. This is all the evidence you need. And I'm going to keep coming back to this in years to come, when inevitably the ebb and flow of football success at the University of Oklahoma starts to get some of y'all down again. This is all the evidence you need that winning cures everything. Because in the summer, it was, aw shucks, we missed on Jaden Petit. Aw shucks, we missed on Davian Gross. What on earth are we going to do at the wide receiver position now? Here Oklahoma sits at 4-0 at the end of September. Florida is 1-3. Wisconsin is a very unimpressive 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
And the Sooners have a very, very realistic chance to get back in the mix with both of those dudes. And so to anyone with an hour in the future that's tempted to cry foul about the state of Oklahoma recruiting, overall or in any particular class. I'll keep coming back to this reality. Winning games solves everything. You are seeing this play out in real time right now in the 2027 cycle. Those guys saw what happened at Oklahoma in 2024, rightly judged it as an aberration. And here in 2025, the Sooners' hot start has them convinced, hey, there's something happening here, and I want to be part of it. And I want to be part of the group that brings a national championship back to Norman, because that's the trajectory that this program can be on if they continue to keep the talent flowing through the doors. Kyle from Salisaw says, 60-second rundown? I missed the whole show. Oh, boy, Kyle. I can't give you the whole show rundown in 60 seconds. I would recommend you wait for the podcast version of the show to drop on Spotify here in about the next 15, 20 minutes.
I'll have it up in that time span.
Yes, there you go. Grayson got you taken care of. Slim Brady says, well, to be fair, we lost all those recruits to teams in similar or worse situations, LOL. And, well, that's kind of my point, though, Slim Brady, is then Oklahoma went and took care of business in the month of September on the football field while those other programs did not. And that, in my mind, it's certainly contributing to a recruiting surge in 2027. It may contribute to a late recruiting surge in 2026. The negative recruiting tactics that Oklahoma faced in the summer, most specifically at the wide receiver position, were hard to fight. They were, Grace. Like, what can you say about 2024? If another school is coming to the table and saying, hey, why don't we turn on Oklahoma's offensive film last year, and we can take a look at how horrific this offense is for a wide receiver. Let me show you why you should have no desire to go anywhere near Norman, Oklahoma right now. What are you supposed to do with that if you're Oklahoma? All you can do at that point is wait for the opportunity to put some better tape on. And thus far, in the 2025 season, Oklahoma's been able to do just that.
Yeah.
And look at this. The tide is turning. The tables are turning. Slim Brady says, right, I get that, but why couldn't we beat those teams out to begin with? Again, negative recruiting tactics.
But, I mean, also, I think to Slim Brady's point, though, there could also be similar negative recruiting going on if you want to go up against Florida. You could say, well, a freshman quarterback saved Billy Napier's job, or Wisconsin, which the Wisconsin thing is just so mind-boggling, too, because all you have to say is they don't throw the ball.
Yes. And look, not every program employs negative recruiting tactics. Oklahoma is one of those programs that doesn't. They're not going to disparage another school. They'll give you all the reasons they can why you should come play at the University of Oklahoma, but they're not going to go out of their way to disparage another institution or their coaching staff or their tradition. And look, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing if you do use negative recruiting tactics. I mean, you have to do what it takes to win the battle, right? Recruiting is a fundamentally competitive realm. And as long as you're playing by the rules, and those lines are blurred these days anyway, I don't fault any school for just turning on Oklahoma's offensive tape in the 2024 season and saying, hey, look at this. You really want to be a part of this? I mean, if that's what it takes to get a guy on board, that's what it takes. And if you're Oklahoma, once again, all you can do in order to combat that is wait till the fall and cut it loose on the offensive side of the football with your new crop of receivers. Isaiah Satania, Deion Burks, Keontez Lewis, and oh, by the way, that cat Giovanni Gibson, who is due back to make his OU debut this Saturday.
How's he continue to look?
Man, I'm going to be interested to see, because what I've heard on Giovanni Gibson is, like, from a speed and acceleration standpoint, he looks great, same as he did pre-injury. It's trusting that leg, trusting that surgically repaired leg when it comes to jumping and cutting, where he's still a little bit tentative from what I've heard. So How much does that show on the field this weekend against Kent State, if at all? Remains to be seen. I don't think he starts against Kent State. I think it's still going to be Burks, Satania, and Keontae Lewis. But by drive number 2, I'd say, you're probably going to see Giovanni Gibson out there on the field running routes. And I'm very eager to see what it looks like. Because by all accounts, he was Oklahoma's best wide receiver in the spring prior to the injury. All right, folks. That is all for Locked In here on a Monday. For Grayson Singleton, I am Parker Thune. You're not going to want to go anywhere because coming up on the other side, Teddy Lehman and Tyler McComas take over. 3 more hours of OU Sports Talk is on the way. The Rush is coming up. This is The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. We'll see you tomorrow.